Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 horror film The Last Inn. The film is directed by David Kwan and it stars Emily Hall, Walker Barnes, Tristan Cunningham, Jamel King and Lauren Peterson. Now the film focuses on a character called Laura who, while travelling cross-country for some reason, ends up in a car accident. So she makes the long trek and stumbles across this seemingly on its own out in the middle of nowhere hotel stroke inn. She wanders in to this creepy place and is given a room. And once there, she then discovers that there is a lot of creepiness associated with this hotel stroke inn that her and some other of the guests are experiencing. As the tagline says, once you check in, you'll never check out. Right, what are my thoughts on The Last Inn? Well, this was going to be a recommended by you review. However, I couldn't remember who recommended it. So it's not a recommended by you review. However, if you are watching this review who recommended it to me, please let yourself be known in the comments. I won't necessarily thank you for recommending this film to me, but it'll be nice to know. And I do apologise. I normally, when everyone does like recommendations, I save them in a specific place. So I've got them. I've got literally hundreds of recommendations. I won't get through them all, but I couldn't find where I'd put this one. Who recommended this one? However, so you may have gathered that I wasn't necessarily keen on this film, and that is an understatement. Right off the bat, this film is bad, abysmally bad. There's very little to recommend here. This could have easily actually have been a dumpster fire review because it's so bad you don't necessarily know where to start with a film like this. So I'll try and go through. There's no positives I can give you other than, somebody might watch this and think it's so bad it's good. It is one of those films, if you go into it knowing it's a bad film, you could potentially have a good time with your friends, order a few pizzas, get a few beers in, and just watch it and have a laugh. That's about the only really redeeming thing I can say about this film because everything else is terrible. Number one, the acting. It's bad. Universally from everyone. It's deadpan delivery, awkward silences, and it's just bad. Bad direction as well. There's no performance here that's redeemable at all. The premise is crazy in a sense of she's been in a car accident. Now, normally, ask yourself a question. What would you do if you've been in a car accident? What would a normal person do? Okay, number one, make sure you're all right. Number two, try and get to safety. Okay, she does some of those things. Number three, make some phone calls. Ring your insurance company. Ring your loved ones. Let everybody know you're okay, and start the process of getting your car picked up and repaired, all this kind of stuff. She does none of this until they make a ridiculous attempt a bit later in the film where she literally walks up to the woman behind the counter in the hotel, Mrs. Last, to say to her, I've forgotten about my car, can I make a phone call, sort of thing. And you can, hang on a minute, you've been there days, love. So once she checks into this hotel, her and everybody else just seem to stay there for no reason. She's not on holiday or anything. She's been in a car accident. She's got places to be, things to do with her life, but no, she seems quite happy day after day after day to stay in this inn for some reason. And even though the first time you walk into this hotel, creepy shit starts happening, and the owners are about as inviting as, Norman Bates would be more inviting to, prospective customers than these two. There's Mrs. Loust and Mr. Loust. And trust me, that name Lost or Loust is going to be embedded into your skull and brain by the end of this film, because there's scene after scene after scene. Because every time something happens in this film, anything happens in this film, it's creepy or scary, this girl, Laura, will run off screeching, either shouting for Mrs. Loust or Mr. Loust over and over again. Mrs. Lost, Mrs. Lost, Mrs. Lost. And you're just like, I can't take this anymore. So she's either shouting for Mrs. Lost or Stephen, this guy who's at the hotel, who's seemingly there, who she meets for the first time, and within 5 minutes of meeting him is telling him her life story. It's one of those movies that, and again, you know, in your normal lives, if you're reading something, okay, most of us, I would say 98% of us, when you're reading something, you've got your inner monologue, your brain's reading it, and you can hear it inside your head, sort of thing. Not this film. Anything like that in this film, and they're saying it out loud to the camera. It's one of those films where, you know, they have to say what they're reading. It is gut-wrenchingly awful. The dubbing is abysmal. The sound design and dubbing. I had to check at one point because I thought it might have been a foreign language film. The dubbing was so bad. It's amongst the worst I think I've ever seen. The voices don't match the lips, sort of thing, for the majority of the film. And she's completely oblivious to the fact that things just aren't very good in this hotel. Things just aren't right. Things might not be normal. You know, there's a lady in that hotel with a blue face. Nothing to see here. She's not freaky or scary at all. She just gets on with stuff. There's creepy children all the time playing. Just gets on with stuff. The husband's in the back, Mr. Last, chopping up people's limbs. Just gets on with stuff. It is so bad. The dialogue is indescribably bad. Written by a toddler type dialogue, really. And apparently they're stranded at this hotel because the roads have been flooded. How they've been flooded, I don't know, because there's never any rain in the film, apart from the first couple of minutes at the beginning. There's no rain in the film. There's no evidence of any flooding. You know, you get told numerous times that the phone lines are down, but she could still access the internet. And I could go on for a fortnight about all the faults with this film. It's one of the most difficult films to finish, but I made it through. I did it for you guys. Yeah, this is not a good film. It's really, really terrible. Nothing. It's rare, really, with a film that there's nothing that you can recommend. And I suspect this is why this film was recommended to me, because somebody wanted to torture me. I'll certainly give my take on what they probably agreed was a pretty terrible film themselves. So, yeah. If you're ever going to watch this film, just go into it knowing it's bad. You might get a little bit of enjoyment out of it just through how terrible it really is. I mean, you could literally make a list as long as your arm as to how bad this film is. But yeah, beyond that, if you're not interested in watching a bad film, then avoid this one at every opportunity. Don't pick it up by mistake or watch it on a streaming service or anything like that. It's not even worth watching for free, this one, guys. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this review. I'll be back with more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.